Right.
Got a lot of probations here.
I know they're.
All right, everyone, thank you for being here. The date is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. This is a regular time and place for a meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. As we continue to deal with the health emergency, the board is using the WebEx teleconferencing format for today's meeting. So whether you're attending virtually or in person, we thank you for being here. For those interested in making comments during unscheduled appearances, please use the raise your hand feature that are online and or get the clerk's attention if you are using the teleconferencing. Members in the audience who filled out speaker's card will be taken in the order they're received by the clerk. And with that, thank you very much. Each vote today will be verbal and a voice vote so that members of the public can hear how each board member has voted. After we've had a motion and a second and discussion, there'll be the roll call. The roll call will be taken by district. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Joe Nevs,
Here.
Richard Valley,
Here.
Doug Verboon.
Here.
Craig Peterson.
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Here. Let the record show 5 members present. We have established quorum. We will be able to conduct business this morning. If I can invite John Devlin forward to deliver the invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, John. Thank you.
Morning. Right here, and then I.
Please bow your heads. Father in heaven, please shine your light on our board, department heads, employees, and all the citizens. For it is your light that will expel the darkness in this world. God bless Kings County. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, John. And now join me as we honor America by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First item on today's agenda is the employee recognition. And Carolyn, you want to outline the program and then we'll get started.
Absolutely, yes. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Carolyn Least, Human Resources Director. I'm here today for the County Service Awards presentation. There has been a Kings County Service Awards program in place since 1977 to recognize full-time employment service of Kings County employees. Service awards are presented to employees after the equivalent of 5 years continuous full-time service and an increment of 5 years thereafter. At the end of each fiscal year, Human Resources identifies those employees who became eligible to receive service awards during the previous fiscal year. Each eligible recipient receives a certificate indicating the number of years of service that have been completed. Each awardee, 10 years and over, is also permitted to select an award to which they are entitled based on years of service completed. Awards are provided in the form of either cash or a memento based on the years of qualifying service. Employees who selected a memento will be notified by Human Resources when it is ready for pickup at Human Resources office. Employees who selected cash will have the amount distributed to them on their November 4th paycheck. Today, employees from the following departments will be recognized: Assessor Clerk Recorder, Community Development Agency, County Council, Human Resources, Information Technology, Job Training Office, Probation, Public Guardian Veteran Services, and Public Works. Therefore, we recommend that you acknowledge employees that have completed various milestones of county service. We will present the names by department. I will read everyone's name from each department, even if they do not expect to be the awardee to be here. Awardees, when your name is read, please come forward to receive your certificate and have a picture taken. We would appreciate, after accepting your certificate, if you would wait in the well at the front of the board chambers for a group picture with the other recipients from your department. Now go ahead and begin. The first department is the Assessor Clerk Reporters. For 15 years, we have Elizabeth Hall. Elizabeth, sorry.
And she has to stay.
Elizabeth is the only one from the department, so did you get a full picture of the board?
Elizabeth, I wore a tie for you today.
So the next department is Community Development Agency. We have two awardees. For 5 years, we have Shonda Jackson.
Man, 5 years goes fast.
And we have one more from Community Development, Tony Least. 15 years, she's out today. All right, so then we get the group photo for Community Development.
Chuck's here. Chuck to come down.
Oh, yeah.
Department head.
Chuck, you want to come on down?
Wait, what'd Chuck do?
He's the department head.
You got everybody? Oh, too much iron?
Yeah.
No white shirt?
Thank you.
The next department is County Council, and we have one awardee. That's Diane Freeman, 10 years with the county.
Diane, 10 years. Man, how many years of work?
That was a trick question.
All right, we have one awardee from Human Resources, Brianna Allen.
Should we just get up and?
This one and done.
Our next department is the Information Technology Department. We have 5 years for John Devlin.
Oh.
No.
I like these.
We do have one more from IT, and it's 25 years, Randy Eggert, but he's already retired, so he won't be with us today.
Want to take a picture of it? Send it to him. I'll give it to Kim. Oh, there you go. Good job.
The next department is the
Exercise.
Job Training Office. We have several for job training, so I'll start with 5 years. We have Nadel Castaneda. Mark Jones, 5 years. And Maria Zaragoza, 5 years.
Volunteer.
No, there's more. Well, that's all the 5 years. And then we have Crystal Schisler, 10 years. And then we have 20 years, Kobe Revia. Come on down, Kobe.
Okay.
And I'll be presenting for Kobe on behalf of the department.
Uh-oh, yeah, they're in trouble. It's like having the principal talking about something. Come here, let's take a picture.
No, it's good.
You gotta say something.
Yeah, I'll let you get a picture first.
How many steps do they?
Kobe Revius has been with the county for 20 years. Jay is very sorry he could not make it this morning to speak on your behalf, so I offered to do it for you. Kobe was hired as an extra help on July 16, 2001 as an account clerk 1, in the District Attorney's Office and the Family Support Division, which is now known as Child Support Services. She was then hired as a permanent account clerk 1 on September 17, 2001 in the Job Training Office. She has worked there ever since, promoting through the ranks from an account clerk 1 to an account clerk 2. In December 2004, she promoted to the Fiscal Specialist 1-2 series. And finally, in April 2012, she promoted to her current position of Fiscal Analyst 3 after filling in as a special salary upgrade for almost 2 years. In 2012, Kobe completed the county's Leadership Academy, and she is one of the truly bright spots at JTO and EDC. Responsible for fiscal programs at both institutions, she is an expert in all their requirements. Kobe makes a point at understanding the various of both programs and is an expert at protecting the budget. Though incredibly busy with her job description, she has assumed the role quite adequately, I might add, and that was the words of Jay, of creative designer and party planner for our offices. He says you've attended any and all of the annual dinners. You will be seeing your handiwork, I think, this month. She helps decide the theme and then goes to work on set design and acquiring all of the decorations, and that you're also instrumental in all of the other facets of the events. And if you know Kobe, you know that she is an avid walker. This year, Kobe is walking her way to the goal of 2,022 miles walked. This is her third year competing in the Run the Year Challenge. Third, or is it? I was right, yes. She is also heavily involved in the community, including but not limited to the Mid-Valley 4-H Club, Parents Teacher Club for Kit Carson, heavily involved in her children's baseball, racing, and among other things. We couldn't list them all today. We did not know how she does it, but she is truly and definitely a superwoman. Kobe is a wonderful coworker, a great human being, and is incredibly valuable to this organization and our missions. Congratulations, Kobe.
Right, everybody got the right one? Two thousand miles. Looking to get 2,000 steps in a day. 21.
Awesome. You're welcome. The next department is the probation department. So the next one is Heather Sursenick Finley, 5 years. Joanna Walla, 5 years. And the next one is the 10-year group. It's Maria Gonzalez. Lori Rose. Charles Valentine. The next group is 15 years, and that's Monica Calderon. Kimberly Rankin. Caesar Saray. There's one more for the 15-year, yes. We have also Crystal Gonzalez, 15 years. For 20 years, we have Leticia Ibarra. Kelly here? Oh, yeah, they're here. I was like, where is she? I'm hiding.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Kelly Vernon, Chief Probation Officer. It's my honor to be here to say a few words about Letty. Letty came to work at the probation department first as an intern and student volunteer. In 2002, she was hired as a group supervisor, and we didn't scare her off. And she subsequently promoted to a deputy probation officer, and I had the distinct pleasure of promoting her to division manager on September 19th of this year. Letty has dedicated herself to the community and those that we serve. Her attention to detail makes her truly an asset, no matter what her assignment happens to be. Letty's earned the respect of her peers, and her file contains many letters of commendation from other agencies. And she has also been our department's employee of the quarter. We're very grateful for Letty, and I wish I could clone her. Thank you.
Next one with the probation department, we have two more from probation. Two more from probation. 25 years, Wendy Dibble.
Wendy is another one of our officers that started her career in our juvenile hall as a group supervisor in August of 1996. She promoted to deputy probation officer in 1997 and steadily has worked her way up the ranks and is currently a division manager assigned to our court services unit. And she's part of the reason why some of the other people aren't here. She made them go to court this morning. Wendy has been instrumental in training many of our staff over the years, and her knowledge of court procedures is pretty much second to none. We all benefit from her hard work, and her personality makes her a pleasure to work with. Thank you, Wendy.
Last but not least for probation is Donna Jacinto, 40 years. Two.
Donna was hired by the county when she was 4 years old. In 1982, she's worked in many different departments. She was a sheriff's clerk. She worked for the county clerk's office as well as the Board of Supervisors. In 1989, Donna came to work for the probation department, and we have not let her go. Donna's file contains an application that was done on the horizontal layout, and it was hand typed, which there was no NeoGov. And she has a paper fingerprint card in there with the smudges and everything. In 1999, Donna became the probation department's first and only executive secretary. And her ability to work with anyone makes her a valuable part of our department. She's the first voice and face that many of our new employees see. She prepares all of the pre-employment packets. Donna does work that I don't even know what she does. So she is a true servant leader, and she's a pleasure to work with. And I would be absolutely lost as chief without her. Thank you, Donna.
Kelly, would you like to?
Got everybody or a little more? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next department is Public Guardian Veteran Services, 15 years, Carolyn Oliveira McCann. The next department is Public Works, 5 years, William Beasley. Elizabeth Mendoza, 5 years. Christopher Kelly, 5 years. Dominic Taberski, 10 years.
You're still on probation.
Next, we have Sinovio Gutierrez, 10 years. Justin Hopper, 10 years. Rafael Orozco, 10 years. Nathaniel Killebrew, 10 years. And next we have David Morse, 15 years.
How many years of work? 4.
Next, we have Angel Martinez, 20 years. And Michael Hawkins, 25 years. With David and,
Put it on, put it on, put it on.
I want to sign that up.
Hey, put us both together. All right, good job.
and that concludes the service awards for today. So thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll go to unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of this board. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes. Does the clerk have a record of anybody under unscheduled?
I do not have any written correspondence. We do not have any speaker cards, and it doesn't appear that anyone online has their hands raised.
Very good. Last call, anybody in chambers would like to address the board under unscheduled? Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on to the next item. And Diane, would you like to report out on the closed session held on October 4th?
I will. We have no reportable items from closed session.
Very good. That's what's always good to hear. The next item is an action item regarding approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on October 4th.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Verboen, seconded by Fagundes. Thank you very much. Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Let the record show the minutes stand approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much. The next item is the consent calendar. All items under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted by one motion at the request of any board member. Any item may be removed and made part of the regular agenda. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding the consent calendar?
No question or comments. I'll move as presented.
Second. Moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Thank you very much. Additional questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Abstain.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Let the record show 4 in favor, 1 abstention. The consent calendar stands adopted. Thank you very much. Moving to regular agenda items. Mr. Hill, you want to introduce the waste management report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On a quarterly basis, the staff at Chem Waste provide a quarterly report. Mr. Henry is online with us today to provide that report for your board today.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Henry?
Morning, Mr. Chairman. How are you today?
Good.
Good. I'd like to do my last quarterly report of activities was on July 19th. This report period covers from that date through October 10th. Past activities, August 12th, we had the Kings County Environmental Health Services at KHF. This was for the monthly unannounced inspection of MSW landfill B17, hazardous waste landfill B18, and MSW landfill B19, which is currently under a delay of closure. During the inspection, there were no area of concerns and no notices of violation. August 13th, KHF was at the Kettleman City Foundation Celebration and Health Fair. Kettleman City Foundation celebrated receiving from your board $351,000 for repairs to the Head Start / Family Resource Center building and the Community Center building. KHF participated with an information booth and provided games and prizes for those attending. September 9th, Kings County Environmental Health Services back out at KHF, this time for inspection of our underground fuel storage tanks. KHF has 1 gasoline tank, 1 clear diesel tank, and 1 red or dyed diesel tank. During the inspection, there were no area of concern and there were no notice of violation. September 21st, US EPA Region 9 at KHF. KHF provided US EPA Region 9 Representative Jocelyn Clark, who is the CWMI KHF permit writer. Also Patrick Fryer, the US Ecology permit writer. US Ecology is in Beatty, Nevada, about 75 miles north of Las Vegas. It's a similar facility to Kettleman. And then Christian Baker, staff engineer. We provided a facility overview and a tour of our facility. September 26th, Kings County Environmental Health Services and Cal Recycle at KHF. Kings County conducted their monthly and Cal Recycle conducted their 18-month unannounced inspection of, again, MSW landfill B17, B18, and B19. During the inspection, there were no areas of concern and no notices of violation. October 6th, KHF was at the Kings County Community Event and Health Fair in Kettleman City. KHF participated with an information booth and provided games and prizes. And KHF was one of the event sponsors. Future events, October 14th, DTSC Part B permit renewal. KHF to submit a revised ambient air monitoring plan and a revised waste analysis plan to the department. October 27th, DTSC at KHF. DTSC requested a site visit for 15 people from the executive staff, 10 of which are attorneys. KHF provided a facility overview and tour, and DTSC is preparing for the Part B permit renewal. DTSC will be going to the Clean Harbors Button Willow facility in the morning and then coming to the Waste Management Kettleman Hills facility in the afternoon. Both facilities are renewing their Part B operating permits at this time. As far as that goes for permitting, DTSC Part B permit renewal, the tentative schedule right now, again, KHF to submit the revised ambient air monitoring plan and WAP by October 14th. DTSC to complete their technical review of our permit application in the fourth quarter of 22. DTSC to make a draft permit decision in the first quarter of 23. DTSC to go out for public comment in the second quarter of 23. DTSC to hold a public hearing sometime in the second quarter of 23. DTSC to make a final permit decision in third quarter of 23. And with that final decision, an appeal can be made within 30 days. And we expect there to be an appeal. And the appeal decision we expect to be resolved sometime in fourth quarter of 2023. So about a year from now before that permit would be issued final, hopefully. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have for this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Henry or the report on activities?
No question or comments. I'll accept the report as given.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Thank you very much. Additional questions, comments? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that report's been accepted unanimously. And thank you, Mr. Henry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The next items come from behavioral health. We have 4 agreements to review. And Katie, you want to kick off the discussion?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chairman Nevs, Board of Supervisors. Katie Arnst with the Behavioral Health Department. I'm here to talk to the first 3 agenda items, and then Anchung will take the 4th this morning. First up, we've got a request to approve the agreement with the Superior Court of California, County of Kings for the Collaborative Justice Treatment Court Services retroactively from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th of 2023. For about a decade now, Kings County Behavioral Health has collaborated with the Superior Court in addition to the District Attorney's Office, Probation, Sheriff's Department, Public Guardian, Kingsview, and Champions, a very large group, for the administration and oversight of Kings County's Collaborative Justice Treatment Courts. Collaborative Justice Treatment Court is designed for Kings County defendants who have a primary diagnosis of substance use or mental illness, or a co-occurring disorder of both mental illness and a substance use disorder. The court has 4 goals, and those are as follows. 1, to reduce recidivism and other crimes related to substance abuse. 2, to reduce substance abuse and promote recovery among program participants. 3, to enhance collaboration and systems integration through problem solving across the multiple departments and county contractors. And 4, to improve participants' family connectedness. Ooh, that was a hard word to say today. With that, this agreement delineates out the Superior Court's roles and responsibilities related to collaborative court, which includes the establishment of program participants with the treatment team, providing staff for the specialized court, facilitation of weekly pre-treatment team meetings, participation in planning, and collaboration with the Behavioral Health Department, including data reporting on a quarterly basis. This agreement is retroactive due to the increased volume of contracts within behavioral health and administrative delays in processing and staffing shortages within our contracts unit in the department. The agreement has been reviewed by County Council and approved as to form and is in the amount of $107,086. Expenses and sufficient revenue for this agreement are included in the department's fiscal year 22-23 adopted budget, which is Budget Unit 422200, Mental Health Services Act. I'm available to answer any questions you might have about this agreement.
Good. Thank you, Katie. Questions, comments, concerns?
I have one question.
Yes.
How many people go through this support system a year?
So in fiscal year 21-22, we had a downturn in the number of participants due to COVID. And so there were 17 active participants during that fiscal year. This year, it's certainly been increasing, and we would typically see around 40 participants in the court in a year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions?
No other questions, Mr. Chair. I will move to approve as agenda items.
Moved by Valley,
Second.
seconded by Fagundes. Thank you very much. Any follow-up questions? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that agreement stands approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much. Katie, would you like to continue?
Absolutely. Thank you, Supervisor Neves. Next up, I'm requesting your approval of an agreement with Champions Recovery Alternative Programs Incorporated for substance use disorder treatment and residential treatment, retroactive, effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. Kings County Behavioral Health offers substance use treatment and residential treatment programs through its Department of Healthcare Services contracts for substance abuse block grant and drug Medi-Cal agreements with the state of California. There are 5 programs that are included in this contract before you today, and I'll quickly name those. It's perinatal residential treatment services, intensive outpatient treatment services, outpatient drug-free treatment services, drug testing for the collaborative justice treatment court program we just spoke about, and substance use disorder treatment that's residential at Samuel's House. I specifically want to call out the Samuel's House portion of this contract and talk more about it, as this is the portion of the contract that, and the only portion of the contract that is retroactive to June 1st of 2021. So Samuel's House is a licensed residential substance use disorder treatment program that provides clinically managed residential withdrawal management and low-intensity treatment services in a 24-hour supportive environment for adult males. While this service is not a requirement of the department's contracts with the Department of Healthcare Services, the department has identified that men's residential treatment is certainly a need here in Kings County, and thus is why the department is requesting to have an agreement with Champions for these services. Formally, this program was offered to clients via combined contract between Kings County Probation and Kings County Behavioral Health for the provision of services at Samuel's House. And then starting July 1st of 2021, the contract with Samuel's House was moved to be a contract with Probation and Champions for Samuel's House and a contract with Behavioral Health and Probation for Samuel's House. It's important to note that the department has spent a lot of time in negotiating with Champions, as we took the previous agreement that was combined with Probation to move it into an agreement that's a rate-based contract. So what that means is previously we were paying for a portion of all costs at Samuel's House, and now we approve individuals that might be residing at Samuel's House, and we're paying a daily bed rate for those services. The additional services that are included, the additional 4 programs, are the perinatal residential intensive outpatient, outpatient drug-free, and drug testing services. That portion of this contract is retroactive back to July 1st of 2022. The county was in contract with Champions for those services through June 30th of 2022, trying to get my dates straight there. So overall, this agreement, both portions of it are retroactive due to the time that it took to develop the scope of work and services, the contract terms, and in addition, the increased volume as we've spoke about over the last several weeks within the contracts unit at behavioral health and workforce shortages in that team. In addition, it's important to note that it did take a significant amount of time renegotiating the Samuel's House contract and shifting the payment structure from the cost reimbursement to a fee-for-services rate. With that, this agreement is in the amount of, for fiscal year 21-22, $1,437,425. This is adding an additional $296,925 for the Samuel's House program. And then this agreement for fiscal year 22-23, this fiscal year, would be in the amount of $1,445,500. Expenses and revenues for this agreement were included in the department's proposed fiscal year 22-23 budget and were adopted. And they're in budget unit 422-100 and the BHAOD program. I'm available for any and all questions you might have.
Thank you, Katie. Questions, comments? Supervisor Peterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just thinking about the contracts and maybe a little explanation. You've included another 260,000 to a previous contract that really didn't exist, right? And so how do you define where those funds are coming from, why they're being added now, and what makes up that funding?
I will have to defer to one of my colleagues on that question.
Okay.
I'm not the budget guru.
Right.
So mainly for the Samuel's House portion of the program, that was the department's mistake of transferring the previously funded through paying the provider through probation, that when it came to department, that we were utilizing the same fund. It's still the substance use disorder funding that we are utilizing, previously paid through probation, now through our department. We were through mistake of a department, finance department, us, that having the other program contract, the payments were made through made to contractor for Samuel's House, and therefore, as far as utilizing the correct funding, that was done, but the payment should not have made, but the department continues to providing fee for service by Champions. So we made a payment for previous year through other contract agreement with Champions.
Okay, I'm not quite following that, but so what you're saying is that we overpaid the contract
Not
through
over-
wrong accounts, and then we're going to pay more?
No, it's not overpaid. It was the contract for with the Champions on Champions House is a fee for service. It's a need basis. So it is a cost reimbursement payment process. So the fees were exactly what the program costs were. We simply made the payment without executing the Samuel's House contract separately, but it paid to them through overall department contract with the champions. So not necessarily overpayment. The payment should have made after the Samuel House program should have been added to a department contract. That part just wasn't done in order to make that service. It's a substance use disorder funding, which is a SAPG, and also there's a 2011 realignment portion that applies to the program. SAPG is a block grant, which is used for the housing portion of the substance use disorder programs. So it's, again, reiterate, not overpayment. It was a fee for service. It's simply, we didn't have a Samuel's contract added to the current contract or Samuel's program. Yes, and we have not, actually, let me correct that. We have not paid them for 21-22 services. So department currently is holding the entire payment for Samuel's House for previous fiscal year.
So did they bring that to your attention or did we?
It brought it up. It was that whole transition from probation and to us happened after July 1, 2021. And we had a numerous program changes that we were wanting to make with the champions. And department went back and forth, trying to figure out whether to have a separate contract for Samuel's House or include it as an overall department existing contract, and to thinking we would expedite and make a contract process easier, we were intent to combine the contract and make it just one overall contract with the champions. That process just got delayed and also got complicated. So 15 champions us went back and forth. And finally, we decided to combine it as one contract and make it simplify the processing between champions and us. And final result was to combine the contract to one contract.
Okay.
Lisa Lewis, sorry, we haven't paid for anything we don't have a contract for.
Okay.
We do owe Samuel champions for the Samuel House fee for service. I need to pay them.
Okay. Well,
Want to pay
unless
them
we
as soon as possible.
unless we didn't approve the contract, right?
Unless you didn't, in which case.
It's again is
We
one
would
of the-
like to,
I won't.
we would
belabor
like
the-
to pay them for the services they have graciously rendered.
Right. So, and you're asking for a sole source contract today. I'm just curious. I've read through the contract, and obviously, you know, from a community standpoint, when you're looking about recovery and those kinds of things, the one thing I don't see is any demonstrable metrics, right? How are we helping the community? Why should we continue this agreement? And I don't see a requirement in the contract to provide, you know, those types of metrics. All it talks about in the contract is you shall, and we will, and we'll pay you, you know, so.
Absolutely. There is a lot of language that the Department of Healthcare Services requires us to have in the contracts. However, we have a substance use disorder program manager, and he meets monthly, he and his team meet monthly with champions to review all of the outcomes in terms of number of individuals that have been referred, number of individuals that have participated in treatment, number of individuals who have completed treatment, and why. Meaning they successfully completed the treatment program, or maybe they moved out of town, or maybe it just wasn't a good fit. Could be many reasons. So those meetings happen on a monthly basis, and then the department as an entire organization meets with champions and all of our contractors on a quarterly basis to also review that data, talk about any challenges that they're having, any challenges the community might be having in accessing services. And then we also talk about data. So there's a lot of contact between the department and champions regarding each of these services. Please.
Sorry, Katie. The performance data wouldn't be in the contract, but we can certainly do a presentation for you. Our substance use disorder manager has been acknowledged as a leader as far as his development of the data tracking in the state. He's doing a wonderful job. And so we present those numbers to our contractors every quarter when we meet with them so they know how they're doing. It's one of the responsibilities we have as the MHP when we are seeing the mental health treatment plans. So now we are going to have a quality assurance process for the substance use disorder plans soon, which is something we're building in our department right now. And so we're going to have 2 parallel quality assurance processes, which is going to be a lot of additional reporting to the state and building actually another team. But right now we still do the quarterly meetings and oversight with our contractors. That's one of the most important things we took on as we took on the MHP.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It would be interesting to see the success rates, you know, the funds that are being utilized. You know, I think, and I've said this before, and I appreciate the, you know, the challenge that mental health presents. You know, the real deal is, you know, for me, you know, going through this with a couple of people in the system, it just appeared, you know, for years, we were just checking a box, right? We provide a service, you know, we check the box and we move on. And, you know, at the end of the day, do people actually get the services that they need? And so I appreciate, you know, your efforts to make sure that we have, you know, a better understanding and actually a product that helps people and doesn't just check a box in the system. But obviously, you know, I've stated before, these late contracts are problematic and you know, like today, what would happen if, you know, we didn't have this approved and this is going back to, you know, 2021. I think the circumstances are what they are, but I sure hope, and I know you've expressed that you're, you know, as I hope every county department is, that we're not going to use this as a practice because it's very uncomfortable in approving a contract that for all intensive purposes was agreed to in 2021, and you know, we're almost into 2023. So that's the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question sounded the same as Greg's. Supervisor Peterson, I don't know how you provide a service and wait a year and a half before you get paid. I mean, I do business with people, and if I don't pay them within 90 days, I'm getting phone calls. And they're saying, we're not going to deliver any more fuel to you or fertilizer until you pay your bill. So I find it kind of odd that, you know, a person can go a year and a half and they, you know, hey, I haven't been paid yet, you know. Then that's fine. I think this is government work. It's always behind. I'd like to see it on track. I'd like to approve a contract before they provide services, so I can at least pick the right person or make sure that they're set up to do the right thing and their job description is laid out in stone, so I know what they're supposed to do. Next question is it Kevin or John that runs Champions?
It's Frank.
Frank, there you go. I'm close. How is the well going? Did they put a new well in it? The landowner put a new well?
Oh, that's a good question for public health, and it's something that I check in with Rosemary from time to time. I think they had some, you want to?
I mean, that was a concern. I mean,
Yeah.
we could talk about it later.
They had a source of water that was being provided to them, I believe, but I don't know the details on the well.
Hello, Rosemary Rand, Public Health. Yeah, they're still getting water delivered. Self-Help Enterprises is providing water and they have an external tank because their well went dry and they're working with the owner of the property to get a new well, but we haven't heard whether that's happening, but they're still provided drinking water.
Yeah, it's been going on for
almost 6 months.
6
It's
months.
a really challenging situation. Yeah.
Okay, well, let us know if we can help on that side. So,
Thank you.
with that, if there's no more question or comments, I'll move approval as presented.
Supervisor Valley, you have a question or comment?
Yes, Chair, and I'm fine with it. I'll put the second down right now. Just going back to the sole source too, I want to thank you for putting on the record the rationale as to why it is a sole source, but being that is a large amount of money, one, that's helpful, but two, I think that does need to be pointed out to the public. So along the lines in reading it, that there's no other business there's no other provider in the area that can provide these services. And that's the reason why it's legally allowed to be a sole source, right? That being said, though, when it comes to the fees for the services that are charged to the county, which my colleagues have also expressed concerns on, what leverage do we have to keep these costs down? If they're the only ones who can provide, that tells me the ball's in their court when you guys sit down at the negotiating table. So what for the taxpayers of Kings County, what's our leverage?
Yeah, that's the reason we keep really close eye on staffing and then the number of people served and the types of services that are happening so that, because we know from experience and from state information what kind of staffing levels they should have, what kind of number of people they should be seeing and how often. So that's why we track those kind of things as closely as we can. We can't get into their business too much, but that's the kind of thing we can do and do. As far as like the need to go out to RFP, it's been true for many of our contracts. So we've been working through that process. And I agree that if something hasn't been out to RFP for a while, then, we need to consider putting it out so we can attract new providers, which we have done. And that's something that's important to do.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just close with saying, obviously, Champions has a name in the county. They have a brand. I would hope that is because of a pretty good success rate. Substance abuse, we know, whatever it is, whether it's alcohol, drugs, pills, it doesn't matter if, the drugs don't care if you're white, brown, or black, or you're rich or you're poor. When it gets you, it gets you. And I know some folks who have been through Champions that I consider friends, and have seen them go through it successfully, and hell, doing better, making more money than me today. And I'm happy. I'm happy to see that. And so I appreciate all the concerns that have been put out, and I think it's very necessary. And I'd like to see some more data as well. But with that, Mr. Chair, that's my second.
Very good. Thank you. Additional questions or comments? The item's been moved by Verboen, seconded by Valley. And if there are no other questions, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much. The next item is to provide psychiatry and telepsychiatry. Katie, you want to talk about this item?
Yes, please. I'm here to request approval of an agreement with Merce Truda to provide psychiatric services for children and youth effective from October 11th, 2022 through June 30th of 2024. Kings County Behavioral Health is seeking to enter into this agreement with Dr. Truda, who is a licensed and board certified child psychiatrist, in order for the department to begin providing all psychiatric care for children and youth through our internal operations. We currently provide psychiatric care for about 25% of the kiddos that we serve in an annual year, and now we would be taking on the remaining 75% of kiddos. Dr. Truda's work under this agreement will provide the provision of in-person and telehealth psychiatric services and assistance with the monthly medication monitoring committee as requested. It's important to note Dr. Truda has been providing children's psychiatric services here in Kings County for more than 20 years. And board certified child psychiatrists are incredibly hard to come by here in the state of California. He is also really well known for his patient-centered care, his thoroughness, and his collaborative approach to working with children and youth, with our partners in child welfare services, with our partners in probation, family members. Under this agreement, our department will provide oversight of program services to comply with all of the federal, state, and county guidelines. And there is also attached to your packet a sole source form for this contract, and the agreement has been reviewed and approved by County Council as to form. This agreement for fiscal year 22-23 will be in the amount of $191,700, and for fiscal year 23-24 in the amount of $259,100. Expenses under this agreement and sufficient revenue were included in the adopted fiscal year 22-23 budget in budget unit 422000 mental health. We are more than thrilled for the opportunity, should your board approve this contract, to continue working with Dr. Truda here as a Kings County psychiatrist. And I'm happy to address any questions you might have.
Good, thank you. Kate. Questions?
It starts today, not behind.
Yeah.
And it's today, if your board approves the agreement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just quick question, County Council. So that you believe this one meets the definition for sole source?
Sole source determinations are made by Evan. I have no reason to believe that his determination would not meet the requirements of the law according to our policies.
Thank you. That, Mr. Chair, if no other questions, I'm happy to make the motion to approve.
Second, so tell us psychiatry, so we can have a phone number in case we have problems.
Give me a call.
I think Craig might need it too.
Not in 2 months.
Not in 2 months, okay.
Are there additional questions or comments? The item's been moved by Valley, seconded by Verboen. And with no other discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
All right.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Greg Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The final agreement on today's agenda from Behavioral Health is the safe one for seniors.
Yes.
Unchunk.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. Unchung Perry, Behavioral Health. Department is seeking approval of the agreement with Kings County Commission on Aging for the Senior Access for Engagement SAFE Program services. The SAFE program provides senior access for engagement to adults and older adults as a part of the Mental Health Services Act Prevention Early Intervention Program within the 2020-23 MHSA 3-year plan. SAFE program provides services to underserved, older adults ages 60 and older population to identify early symptoms of mental illness and provide appropriate service to prevent the development or progression of a mental illness during, including individual at risk of beginning to experience mental health problems such as depression related to aging and isolation. SAFE also provides a support group for primary caregiver of older adults with mental illness. According to the MHSA annual report for fiscal year 2020-21, which was during the COVID year, total of 1,568 senior citizens were reached out to, and they were provided with the services. The renewal of a program will ensure that this population continue to be served in Kings County. The contract term is retroactively effective July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2024. The agreement amount is $253,750 for fiscal year 22-23 and also for 23-24. Sufficient expense and revenues were, for the agreement, were included in the department's adopted budget 22-23 in the budget unit 422200 Mental Health Services Act. This agreement also is retroactive due to the increased volume of department's contract that are being managed and also administrative delays in processing the contract and staff shortage in the department. The source also was approved for this contract. Commission on Aging has been providing various senior program services for the county with the department for the SAFE program. They've been working with the department for over a decade. The agreement has been reviewed by the county council and as approved by the county council to form. I can answer any questions you may have.
Good, thank you, Anchang. Questions, comments? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just kind of a general question. I think about all of the issues with cognitive degeneration, Alzheimer's. It's amazing, the spike. It's not just a spike, it's been a trend that's been increasing for years. And this is a pretty low budget amount for the amount of folks that, when you think about the people that spend their lives committed to Kings County and they've been productive citizens all their lives, and, trying to get folks like that services, it just seems like we always have it backwards. Any thoughts on how, we become more aggressive in this side of the,
Yes. Thank you, Supervisor Peterson. And with the adult aging population and especially the high rates of cognitive, dementia really in women are really an issue right now. And one of the things that this program does, this is not a state mandated program. It's something that we do on our own. And so it's a way to reach people really, and then to connect them into services. But one of my long-term goals has been to provide therapists who are specifically trained to work with our elderly population in our outpatient services. Right now, we don't have anybody specifically designed to do that. Other counties who are larger than us sometimes do. That in Tulare County, they have one, but she makes the rounds and goes to homes and does therapy in the home and stuff. So those are things, that's a goal that we have to get to, and I think it's a really important one. And the fact that we were able to reach, I believe it was over 1,500 people and actually try to connect them to some sources was helpful. But it's not therapy, it's connection to treatment.
I just think, the amount of folks that I've talked to that, could use things like adult daycare, they can't, they're working still, in this economy, everybody's gonna be working longer.
Right.
But they don't have that option in the community, that necessity. And, again, I just believe, it's people that have spent their lives in our community that, have committed their tax dollars, their whole lives to this community, and in their time of need, then, those specific, necessities aren't available to them. And so anyways, with that, I'd move for adoption.
Moved by Peterson, seconded by Fagundes. Thank you very much. Any additional discussion?
No, you got to get this under control before Craig gets there. Before I get there.
I was kind of wondering.
Hey, wait a minute. What's my name?
Huh?
Yeah.
It's not Steve, Jack.
Hey, we've all had to deal with dementia, and it's tough on family. Not only the person that's going through it has a hard time, but the family needs support as well. And it happens at the most inopportune time. And so we need to get a handle on it. We do a lot of people, a lot of therapy, a lot of support for drug addiction and problems like that. This is something that happens without any control, without any planning. So if we can do a little more work and research to prepare ourselves for as our family gets older, I'd like to do that. So, and I second it. So, or no, you're gonna second it.
Yeah.
See, the dementia's already kicked in.
Yeah, that's what I was beginning to think. Yeah, well, you know what today is?
It's Tuesday.
Okay, that's the first test. All right, with that, are there any other questions or comments? Hearing seen none, clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. Thank you, Anjan. The next item comes from Public Works. Consider an amendment to the construction agreement for the motor pool fuel system. Mitch, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mitchell Cabrera with Public Works. Before your board this morning, requesting approval for the first amendment to the construction agreement with KC Partners, who are doing business as B&T Service Station Contractors for the motor pool fuel system upgrades project. On August 30th of this year, your board entered into the agreement with these contractors to provide the services for the motor pool fuel system upgrades, replacement of the dispenser pumps, under containment units, and installation of upgrades to this existing system. Due to the extended time review and approval for the agreement and the varying market prices, the contractor has expressed that his suppliers were not able to hold certain prices on some of the equipment longer than 15 to 30 days. Since they submitted their bid end of April, early June, and we awarded the agreement August 30th, there is a cost increase of under $3,000 to the original bid. So at this point, we're asking the board authorize the chairman to sign the amendment to the construction agreement so we can move forward with the project, and also requesting the transferring of $20,000 from the fleet fund to cover soil testing for any contaminants under the existing tanks. That will be a requirement for environmental conditions for the project. So we would request that your board also adopt the budget change.
Good, thank you. And this is a 4/5 requirement. So are there questions or comments?
Also a change order.
Well, but they call it amendment, so they don't think it's a change order. It's amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second. Moved by Verboen, seconded by Fagundes. Additional questions, comments, or concerns or change orders? Apparently not. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stand approved. Do they have a completion date?
No, but the plan is they've ordered the equipment now, so we have the price fixed in, so we won't hopefully have another change order. But the plan is to try to do the work during the closure,
The weekend.
so there's less impact to the county vehicles.
Very good, thank you. All right, next item comes from the Sheriff's Department. Consider authorizing a rehire.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dave Putnam, Assistant Sheriff. The Sheriff's Office comes to your board this morning to request to rehire former dispatcher Melina Pageant. She retired in July of this year, and PERS requires a retired annuitant to be separated from the county for 6 months unless we can show a necessity. PERS does have some exceptions. It's a critically needed position, and obviously the dispatch center is the most critically needed position. So Melina was not only a good dispatcher, she was a great dispatcher. She was in a supervisory position and retired as she was entitled to, but now she's graciously accepted or wants to accept an extra help position where she can work part-time and fill in some shifts. It's super difficult right now to hire dispatchers and recruit. The post test is almost impossible to pass. The last couple of times that we've offered it, we've only had 1 or 2 people pass, and then we have to do a background investigation as well. So Human Resources Division has been great working with us, and we do have 2 openings. And so with your board's authorization to rehire Melina as a retired annuitant prior to her 6 months of being separated, that's allows us to cover several shifts a week with her. It's really, to me, it's a no-brainer. She's trained, she's experienced, she's ready to go. Like I said, not only a good dispatcher, but a great dispatcher that we can plug in as soon as your board authorizes the rehire prior to the 6 months of her separation from the county. I'd be happy to answer any questions and ask for your board's approval.
Very good, thank you. Questions?
Yeah, just, and not so much for presenter, but, I know you've talked a little bit about the challenges with retired annuitants in the state is cracking the whip, I guess, so to speak, with that. I mean, we're going to make this work.
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor Peterson, through the chair. You are correct that the state has started to send signals that they are going to start taking harder looks at retired annuitants, but this position does fall within that public safety realm, and they do allow for the 180-day early hire back for these particular positions. The big challenge is how long do we keep them employed and make sure that we follow the CalPERS rules, which they can't be full-time temporary, if that is a term. They have to be temporary. So those are things we'll be looking at in the future. But this does fall within the categories and is allowable under CalPERS.
Great, thank you. Make the motion to accept.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, seconded by Verboen. Additional questions or comments? Hearing seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stands approved. Good luck. Thank you. Now we'll move to items from administration. First item is to consider the agreement for carryover water for Kettleman City. And Matthew, you got the duty?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Matthew Boyette, Kings County Administration. So earlier this year in January, your board approved a water purchase for the Kettleman City Community Services District in the amount of 235 acre feet from the Mojave Water Agency. And within that agreement, Mojave actually made available 310 acre feet of their Article 56 carryover water. And what Article 56 outlines in the State Water Project contract is that an agency can store and transfer unused allocations to a future year to allow efficient and beneficial use of the supply. So the reason Mojave made 310 acre feet available for us to purchase at that time is because 310 acre feet is about the yearly water demand for the Kettleman City Community Services District to operate both residential and commercial. And so at that time, the county only procured 235 acre feet of the available 310 because we wanted to be fiscally conservative and not really buy anything that we didn't need. And B is Department of Water Resources actually gave us a couple of drops of water in the form of a 5% allocation of the Table A, as well as they gave a little portion of human health and safety water. So the district didn't need their full entire yearly allotment. So we purchased what we needed at that point. And so that was for the current water year 2022. So looking ahead to 2023, it's very bleak, as you can imagine. I haven't seen or heard any good news from DWR as far as what the allocations are going to be. In fact, I've heard the opposite. We just received a preliminary health and human safety allocation from DWR, and they're planning that human health and safety allocation based off of a 0% Table A allocation. So not a lot of good news for the water year of 2023. So what the county and Mojave and the Kettleman City Community Services District has done is, and a big thanks to Mojave, they're gracious enough to still make that balance available to us from what they said was available versus what we purchased. Although that agreement was, as far as the contract went, strictly for this calendar year, they're able to make that available to us here for the 2023 water year, which is 75 acre feet. Also graciously enough to Mojave Water Agency that they're still going to honor the price that we paid in January. We're going to pay that same price now. So that's $1,400 per acre foot. At 75 acre feet that we're procuring, that's going to be $105,000. And that amount is going to be paid through the $1 million drought resiliency program to the community services districts that your board has previously approved. So with that, after an agreement like this is executed, this is just the purchasing agreement between the county and Mojave. So what would happen after that purchase is done is there's a subsequent agreement between the Department of Water Resources, the county, and Mojave Water Agency to actually facilitate the movement of the water from where it is currently stored over to the district for actual use. And that is the State Water Project Analysis Office agreements, which we refer to them as SWAPO agreements that accompany all state water project sales and transfers that we are a beneficiary or a middleman. So with that, we're coming before your board this morning seeking approval for the county administrative officer to sign the agreement with Mojave to purchase that water of 75 acre feet from Mojave, as well as upon receipt from DWR of that SWAPO agreement and pending county council's approval of that agreement, authorization for the county administrative officer to transact and execute that agreement as well. That SWAPO agreement, there's no fiscal component to that agreement. It's a strict conveyance agreement. The fiscal component to this is with us and Mojave, which is before your board this morning. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Matt. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, it stinks. You know, I mean, it's just, you look at all of the millions of acre feet of water that have been dumped in the ocean by the governor. I mean, so he's taken through his own judgment, and chosen to dump it in the ocean rather than serve disadvantaged communities. I think it's sick. We ought to try and publicize this as much as we possibly can. I mean, we're in a drought, that's no question. But the millions of acre feet that were dumped into the ocean, potable water. I mean, you send actors all over the world to go drill wells in Africa because they don't have an access to potable water. But we have potable water here and we dump it in the ocean. It's, and okay, you can talk about the environmental stuff, but in times of emergency, come on.
It gets worse. It goes down to the desert and we got to buy from the desert.
Well, desert don't have water now. And that's,
They have access to the.
but if I was someone that was in Mojave, I'd be asking myself, why am I giving anybody more water when they're dumping water in the ocean?
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Well, once again, I mean, whether it's a Naval Air Station, the communities that live and work within Kings County, it's just sickening. So yeah, it's motion to accept.
I'll second. I didn't say squall.
Good work, Matthew. Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Due diligence on it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
All right.
Doug Baboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that carries.
Thank you.
5 in favor. Thank you very much. The next item, consider appointing a primary and alternate to the CSAC Board of Directors. Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Under provisions of the California State Association of Counties Constitution, or CSAC Constitution, members of the Board of Directors and alternatives are elected by their respective Board of Supervisors meetings, or not meetings, Board of Supervisors to one-year terms. The annual conference is scheduled for November 14th this year, and we are seeking your board to appoint a primary director and an alternate director for this year. The terms commence on the first day of the CSAC annual conference and terminates the day before the conference in 2023. Any member of the board is eligible for directorship. Supervisor Verboen is the alternate for 2021 and would like to move to the primary in 2022 if no other board member would like this position. Pursuant to board policy, the administrative office makes no recommendations on advisory board appointments. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Supervisor Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, no, Sue Verboen has been going to CSAC since he got elected. He's doing a good job. Thanks, Sue Peterson, for your service representing us as a primary over the years. I know he likes it. He likes being there. He's social there. He's all over the place. I'm there on busy with our Latino caucus of California counties, and so I would like to move to approve Sue Verboen to be the primary. And if there's no other interest as the alternate, I'm registered already to be in Orange County. I'm happy to take on alternate for the year till we take it up again next year.
I'll second. Thank you for your service.
Hey,
I'll go fix
we
everything.
go,
I'll go fix it all.
well, I mean, we bang our heads against the wall with these issues that we just talked about with water because, no one else really listens to it in Central Valley. And so it's, while it's frustrating to be there, somebody needs to hear the message. And I've done my damnedest. I think they've finally, they're listening. There's a couple of water forums scheduled through CSAC but I think, it's about relationships and as frustrating as it is to be there with, large jurisdictions, those are the people that can move the, move the agenda. So, it's been 8 years worth of relationships and kind of culminating with my service on the executive committee, getting the executive board to finally listen and to agree that, we're in a situation that's untenable in California and we need to look at all options. So I do that as well as all the other issues that we face and hand it over proudly to you guys and wish you all the best. And, but again, I think it's about relationships and you're one vote until, you can get another vote and it's about building those relationships. So I wish you all the best.
We had a good meeting after our conference with CSAC the day after to set up the tone for the next county conference. And staff was there and they said, well, you could bring it up at the next board meeting. And I said, I got off the board 6 years ago for that one reason, because you guys refused to listen to me. And I said, if this is how it's going to go, we're going to pull out. And we had several other board members from other counties, 9 counties said, yeah, you don't start listening to us, we're all going to pull out. So we got their attention. I believe we got their attention. Ed was there. And we're going to carry on the conversation about getting, we represent 4% of the votes. And CSAC wants to take care of the majority. And I said, you got to stop it, because once we get our problem fixed, it helps everybody else out. So I think we can move forward. So I'm willing to take on that fight. My hair's already white. So I think I can handle it. It's probably going to fall out now, but it's a constant battle, and hopefully we can get the thing done.
Sure.
Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, going back to the water conference that you led through the discussion through a week and a half ago when we had the conference at Tachi. The gentleman from the Delta, I don't know if you remember his remarks, but I liked what he said. He was saying that, we need to stop pitting north and south against us in the middle. And especially if we get the folks from the Delta we find some kind of middle ground and we team up, then there might be an opportunity there for us. That being said, we know the discussion on water is so territorial that even our Latino caucus counties, we've had the water discussion. And guess what? We don't even agree. When you have county supervisors from Napa Valley, Sonoma County, Monterey County, they're not agreeing with county supervisors from San Joaquin Valley. And, we're all friends and we're having a good time, but that water topic comes up and everyone goes their own separate ways.
Well, it gets pushed to the side because Napa or LA speak and they carry a bigger voice. And so we get pushed to the side, and that has to stop. So that's what my point was to CSAC. If I got to come back on a board, we're going to be listened to. And if we're not going to be listened to, we're going to pull out. So I got support from my other 8 county supervisors that supported me too. So good. We'll get their attention.
Additional questions or comments? The item's been moved by Valley, seconded by Verboen, to appoint Verboen as the primary, Valley as the alternate.
You got to carry my books and get the door.
Get your coffee.
And get the coffee.
Call the bells, bondsman.
Bloody Mary.
The Irish coffee. I know, so you like.
Before that discussion goes any farther south, will you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the right record show those appointments stand approved, unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item is to consider amending the schedule for November. Ed, would you like to kick off the discussion on this item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Each year, the county issues a Board of Supervisors meeting schedule and identified dates that the board is dark are closed. As mentioned in the last item, this year's CSAC annual meeting will take place on November 14th and will be attended by staff from the clerk's office, administration, and your board. Given the number of staff who will be in attendance at the annual meeting, we are seeking your board amend the Board of Supervisor cancellation schedule to include Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Questions, comments, or concerns about?
Mr. Chair, is that only going to leave 2 meetings in November then? Are we dark? Are we dark Tuesday after Thanksgiving, the 29th?
That is correct.
So no meeting on the 15th, 22nd, or 29th? We still get paid though. Okay. Well, that's a lot of meetings to go without being put together. You sure you want to do that?
It'll be a brutal December.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, how hard is it to make well, we're 2 weeks ahead on the agenda already, right? For this reason where we have the buffer for something like this. If we fall back 1 week and being ahead of schedule, then I think that's okay. But I think that 2-week buffer would give us the opportunity to, well, you know what? I'm always gone that Tuesday anyways. That's Operation Gobble, so I won't even be here either. But my board members need to be here.
That's what lobbying for us to work, yeah.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
All right.
You're the ones that missed all of this in
Hey, I'm
previous
giving you
year.
guys a turkey. so,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you need another show.
Yeah. I don't know, whatever you guys want.
And you can always pull, yeah, exactly. You can always call a special meeting if something should arise.
I'm interested. Keep talking.
Yeah,
As we continue further south,
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve as
Second.
presented.
Second. Moved by Verboen, seconded by Fagundes. Thank you very much. Additional questions, comments, or concerns? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that amended calendar has been accepted, so thank you very much. We'll now move to the addendum. I think.
No,
right?
there's a public health item still.
You want to do after the public health? You want to do public health first? You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I'm good with whatever.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Morning, Chairman, Supervisors, Rosemary Rand, Department of Public Health. I'm here to provide you a brief COVID update, MPX and West Nile virus updates as well. The number of COVID cases continues to steadily decrease. For the past 9 weeks, we've seen a steady decrease. And over the last 2 weeks, there were 194 cases. That's probably the lowest I've seen since I've started here. Last week, the 2 weeks prior was 345. BA.5 Omicron is still the dominant strain of samples being sequenced. And last week, Kings County is still remaining in the low transmission green area. Local hospitalizations have also reduced. There's only one hospitalized case that's a Kings County resident, and they're in med surge. The average daily patient average of COVID admissions is 2.6 for the last 2 weeks. Testing in the county remains level. In the last 2 weeks within the county, there were 4,887 tests done. As well as vaccinations have increased. Over the last 2 weeks, 1,391 vaccines were given in Kings County. And as I said last week, there continues to be a steady increase, I think, due to the new bivalent booster. A lot of people are getting vaccinated and coming in, as well as coming in for flu shots and then getting boosted. Residents can get vaccinations at the health department, local pharmacies, and several pop-up clinics. And the current schedule is on our website. As noted, the bivalent boosters are available at the health department in various locations around the county. And the boosters are formulated to protect against BA.4 and 5. We're providing both Pfizer and Moderna. Currently, Pfizer's for 12 years and older, and Moderna's 18 years and older. FDA is meeting currently to evaluate doing the younger, the 6 years to 12 years for the Pfizer and 6 to 18 for the Moderna. We're hoping to get more information on that in the next couple weeks. As always, the COVID report and additional data is on the website at kcdph.com. And would like to remind everyone to stay home when you're sick, get tested if experiencing COVID-like symptoms, and get vaccinated or boosted if you have not yet. Masks are still required in the healthcare settings and clinics, and skilled nursing facilities and anywhere where healthcare is being provided. I'll give a quick update on MPX. There are 2 cases in Kings County, 121 cases among counties in the Central Valley, and 5,136 probable and confirmed cases in California. There's been a steady decline in those cases, with California currently averaging 26 cases per day. Information is available on the website, and MPX vaccinations have been offered to close contacts of positive cases. Our current West Nile virus total cases are up to 7, so we had 1 additional. We have 6 neuroinvasive, where 2 were deaths, and 1 non-neuroinvasive. There's additional information on the West Nile, California website for that information. It's been a high West Nile virus year for us here in Kings County. So again, the mosquitoes are still out. They usually don't really go away until there's a hard freeze. So we probably have a few more weeks of mosquitoes. That concludes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Good. Thank you, Rosemary. Did you get a record of how many immunizations were given at the Kettleman City event?
No, but I can get that to you
Okay.
and send it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kettleman City, and we were also out at Burris Park, I think, too, for
Correct.
vaccination.
Yeah,
So yeah, get your flu shot also.
yeah, exactly. Any other questions, comments, concerns? With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay healthy. Stay home when you're sick. Now we'll move to the amendment. And it comes from the Human Services Agency regarding an agreement with Cornerstone. Wendy, would you like to begin the discussion?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Wendy Osikawa, Human Services Agency. Today I'm here to seek your approval of an agreement with Cornerstone. I want to give you a little bit of background. In November 2020, Human Service Agency partnered with Cornerstone and we received a grant for $4,434,614. That was an award from Housing and Community Development to fund the development of affordable housing on land owned by Cornerstone for the Triangle Courtyard project. This project would increase the housing inventory, the low-income housing inventory in Kings County by providing 24 two-bedroom homes. The original completion timeline for all 24 units was June 30th of 2021. On December 15th, through an RFP process, Green Galaxy Builders was awarded the contract for the project. They were to design, build all 24 units for a not to exceed price of $4,838,251. The original deadline was not met, and really from June of 2021 through present day, the department has been negotiating and making concessions, trying to get the project completed with Green Galaxy. We've done timeline extensions. We've verbally agreed to increase the contract. We've reduced the scope from 24 units to 20 units. And despite that, we've been unable to get their agreement to a change order. They continue to increase the cost estimate above what we've negotiated time and time again. Our last conversation with them, we had verbally agreed to increase that change order to about 5.4 million. Cornerstone had committed to funding the difference, which was approximately 561,000. But the last conversation with Green Galaxy, July 29th of this year, they were increasing it approximately another $500,000 above the 5.4 that we had been in agreement with them on since December of 2021. So in August, we received a letter of intent from Cornerstone, really rescinding their commitment to fund the Green Galaxy contract, but not their commitment to fund the project. They proposed that they would like to put that money towards the project, but take on the construction and responsibility of the project themselves. Since that time, we've been negotiating the takeover agreement that's before you today. This takeover agreement would really require Cornerstone to complete the remaining work and obtain certificates of occupancy by the March 31st, 2023 deadline, which is the current deadline for completion with the state. The county would retain we have current site control. We would retain site control until the occupancy permits are obtained for the now 20 units rather than 24. There are provisions in the agreement to protect the county. Cornerstone would defend and indemnify the county. We are also assigning Cornerstone the rights and remedies against Green Galaxy for their breach of contract and not completing the project in its entirety. The department believes that this takeover agreement increases our chances of completing the project. We are on the hook with the state. If we fail to complete the project, we are at risk of them recouping that $4.4 million in grant funds. We believe we've reduced the risk of that recoupment, and Cornerstone is committed to completing the project in the timeline that I've outlined. If the board approves the takeover today, we'll begin work. We already have a tentative meeting scheduled for Friday to begin the transition conversation with Green Galaxy and Cornerstone. We did terminate the agreement with Green Galaxy on Friday. If the board does not approve this agreement, the department would be in a position where we'd need to find not only funding to complete the project, but we would need to find a new contractor for the completion. So today we are recommending that you approve the agreement with Cornerstone.
I'm happy to answer any questions. I'd also like to mention that we have representatives from Cornerstone, Dave Clevenger and Charles Fever here. Well, if you have any questions, and with that, I will ask for your approval.
Thank you, Wendy. Questions, comments, concerns?
I guess, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just quick note, one of our discussions, centered around, remaining balances.
Yes, sir.
Have you come to any conclusion?
Yes, so we have approximate, just, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but a little over 200,000 that we have on hand that was committed to Green Galaxy that has not been advanced or paid to them. So I can confirm that we have that available. We got a statement from Green Galaxy at the beginning of September that indicated they had about 521,000 of what we'd advanced available. I inquired as of last week, and I believe it was Wednesday of last week, and they affirmed that they've made no new payments since that job costing report was provided. We are since, we are going to meet with them on Friday. They've sent us an email since the termination letter indicating now several bills that they need to pay out of that money. And we have set up that meeting on Friday to hear fully from them, any costs pending that they might have out to subcontractors. And so I will have a better sense of what they're indicating at that time. Our termination letter really demanded them to return all money advanced and that we would, pay any balances due to subcontractors. So it may be between our attorneys working that through, but that's where we are at this time.
Okay. Then, secondly, for council, I apologize for not reading this. There was kind of a little glitch in our agenda process and Mr. Clevenger called and I was like, wait, where's that on the agenda? So, and that happens every once in a while, but, so I haven't had a chance to go through this, but, I know we've talked about indemnification. Can you, take me to the point in the
Yes.
contract where indemnification lies?
Yes, there's actually two relevant that is subdivision D, section 22, subdivision D. Requires Cornerstone to defend and indemnify the county. And there are accompanying insurance provisions which require Cornerstone to obtain their own insurance, but also any contractor that they use to complete the project is also required to tender the same insurance that Green Galaxy was required to tender when they entered the contract with Kings County originally.
Right. Well, I think those were the major concerns. Obviously, it's been a challenging project and one of the most challenging times of our time, and presented all kinds of nooks and crannies of challenges. So I don't have further questions, and I don't know if there are further questions from the board, but I appreciate Mr. Clevenger and his group agreeing to step up and take this project on. And I mean, not that they haven't, they've been a partner in this, for the existence of its life. And it's unfortunate that we're going to be shorted a few, residences, but it's the best of hopefully the best of a bad situation, remedying itself. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll move for adoption.
I'll second with a comment. I think it's time to turn it over to Cornerstone, let them handle it and carry on. They have a lot to gain by having this project completed. I think it'd be a good fit for the community, and we've wasted enough time, dealing with Green Galaxy. So my faith is with Cornerstone. I think they're going to do a good job. They're the only ones that can benefit from this when they get it all in their hands. So wish Dave all the best. Don't lose control of it. I'd like to see that built out. I would say hopefully 5 years, you got it completely full, right? Yeah, so that's my second.
Good luck, very good. Supervisor Valley, you had a question?
Comments too as well, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you for the work. I know it's presented as an addendum item, but truth is, been dealing with this for a long time. You navigated some serious issues. So I want to thank you. I also want to join in thanking Cornerstone for helping, being a friend of the county on this one is the way I look at it. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
We agreed to blame Sonia for all the problems. Any further problems that happen next year is all Craig's fault.
There you go. The water problem will be Sue Peterson's fault.
Now they got water.
Mr. Chairman, I rescind mine.
Nah, I already wrote it down in ink. I'm sorry, I can't erase it.
Father.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. Good luck, Dave.
Thank you,
Good
gentlemen.
luck, Wendy. Thank you.
That didn't hurt.
No, the work starts now.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes the actions on the agenda. We'll now move to a study session regarding Public Works. Dominic, you want to start the discussion on the lease renewal with Calvans?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dominic Tyberski, Public Works Department. And before your board this morning to initiate a study session regarding the lease of real property owned by the county and currently occupied by Calvans. The property is located on the northern boundary of the government center at 1340 North Drive here in Hanford. The original lease with Kings County Public Transit Agency was initiated in March of 2006 for a term of 10 years, commencing in 2005, terminating in 2015. Improvements paid for by the transit authority served as the sole payment for that period of time, so no money was exchanged hands. First amendment to the original lease with the Kings County Public Transit Agency was initiated in March of 2019, again for an additional term of 10 years. Lease commencing 2009, terminating 2019. So it did overlap the original lease. Excuse me, additional improvements which were paid for by the Public Transit Agency, pardon me, served as the sole payment. And those improvements were the addition of the car wash and the addition to the existing structure. They added on to the building. A second amendment to the original lease with the Kings County Public Transit Agency was initiated in November of 2013. And this essentially signed the lease over from the Transit Authority to Calvans, which has been occupying the building ever since. So following the trail, the original lease and First Amendment were to terminate January 31st of 2019. However, a third amendment to the original lease, again previously assigned to Calvans, was initiated in August of 2018 for a term of 3 years. And again, that did overlap the second lease. So it's a little bit confusing to follow the chronology. That final amendment, again, was an exchange for 3 vans in exchange for 3 years of facility occupation. So again, no monies were exchanged hands. In June of this year, a rent study was performed by Simon & Hauer Incorporated of Hanford, California to determine the fair market rental rate of the subject property. Study yielded a range of $8,213 to $9,706 per month, and that includes the on-site facilities as well as the yard and the properties there currently being used. In discussions with Calvans, their plans are to relocate to the Sacramento area within the next year. However, they would like to remain at the current facility until those plans are finalized. Calvans is requesting the lease rate to be set at the medium range, which would be $8,959.20 per month for the existing facility and surrounding yard. Caveat to that, staff has indicated to Calvans that the county intends to repurpose this site for county use and thus would require Calvans to vacate the premises no later than September 30th of 2023. So at this point, I request opening of the study session to hear comments from the public and feedback from your board.
Very good. Thank you, Dominic. Is there any questions or comments from board members? Is there any questions from members of the public? Madam Clerk, have we heard any written testimony or received any?
I have not.
Any other questions or comments then for discussion? Hearing none. Dominic, you want to close? Anything else you want to say about the property and its future use?
So we do have an intended use. Law enforcement intends to occupy the building. We will be, well, first step would be to bring back a final amendment, or I'm sorry, a new agreement. Since the agreement itself has lapsed, we do need to start with the new agreement. County Council is working on that. It would be retroactive beginning this month, but this is a good retroactive because we're actually getting paid. So that being said, I would bring that before your board in a future meeting. Regarding the repurposing of the building, as I said, we would use it for law enforcement purposes. The plan is to hire a consultant to prepare the design, and immediately upon Calvin's vacating the facility, we would begin the remodeling process to use it for our own needs.
Very good. Thank you, Dominic. Any follow-up questions or concerns? With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good luck on that project.
Thank you.
The second study session of the morning comes from Human Services, and this is to kind of have an overview and update on permanent housing allocations. Wendy, welcome back.
Sir, good morning, Chairman, members of the board. We'll be brief today, but today we are here, the department is in the process of applying for permanent local housing allocation, PLHA, which is offered by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. The funding is available to California cities and counties to implement plans to increase local affordable housing stock. HSA would like to provide an overview today of the intended use of the funds. Notice to the public, there is a public noticing requirement before applying, and just create opportunity to comment. We will be sending out public notice through the normal forum, but also wanted to alert the public through our board as well. We will be coming back on October 25th for the formal public hearing and to seek approval of a resolution to apply and the plan that we'll be submitting. HSA has a fixed allocation of $980,995 that's available over 5 years. We can't access that full amount at this time. We're eligible to apply for $717,853, and that's what's available 3 years in. We are recommending that the funds be utilized to close a funding gap to allow for the completion of the conversion of the Stardust Hotel to the Sunrise Apartments as part of the Home Key project that was started in December 2020. This fits with the first allowable use of the funding, which is to increase the supply of housing for households at or below 60% of area median income. The public noticing is required for the first time you apply. When we access the 200,000 plus that's remaining for years 4 and 5, we will not be required to do public noticing. So we are providing an overall plan for the entire amount. I'm going to have Assam share a little bit about the status of the Stardust Sunrise conversion, and then give you an opportunity to ask any questions.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, board members. I think we have a presentation right now with it. I'm going to give you an update on one of our projects, Home Keys, the Sunrise Apartment. So Serena, if you can start. This particular project is a partnership with Kingston Larry Homeless Alliance. We started in December 2020. The goal is to convert the Stardust Motel into 22-unit permanent housing studio apartments, and we intended for the low-income households. Next slide. We are in compliance with the agreement that we have with the state. The project has been in full compliance. We are using it right now as the project room key and for the shelter. The conversion deadline that we have with the state is in 2025, in particular, December 15, 2025. We anticipate to obtain the full funding, and hopefully if we have the PLHA approval, we will get the full funding. And anticipated full conversion is in 2023, 2024. After we assume all the funds, last time we talked with the developer, we estimate 6 to 8 months once they start the work for it to be converted completely. Next slide. This is what we completed for phase 1 already, and I think I have some pictures at the end. We had the acquisition of the Stardust and the 2 empty adjacent lots, and we're going to use one of those lots to transfer into parking lots. We remodeled 3 units. We did the paint outside, the fixed purchased air conditioning, and I think also the plumbing. Some of the plumbing went out, and they fixed that too. We have 3 additional rooms remodeled. No kitchen installations yet. Stair replacement, window screen replacement, outside lighting, and we have a nice sign over there if any of you drove, so I've seen that. Next slide. Phase 2 is when the full conversion is going to happen. We estimate the cost is going to be between 3.7 to 4.2 million. The full remodel of the remaining 16 units, electrical and sprinklers upgrade for all units, and install kitchens in the all units. Funding so far, we secured $2,630,000 and $184, and I'll give you a breakdown later on where those funds coming from. The managed care provider through a program called HIP has committed already $500,000 to invest in this project. Our PLHA application for $717,853 should get us to the number, the gap that we have right now. Next slide. So these are the funds that we are using to meet those gaps. I want to point out that the city of Hanford has invested almost $1.5 million that they're putting their own money for this project. HSA have put all our HAPs, and hopefully we'll get the PLHA. Kings to Larry Homeless Alliance also are investing with their HAP 3 application. And as I mentioned before, managed care is investing $500,000. Next slide. These are the pictures. This is what the motel used to look before. As you can tell, or if anybody have seen the motel before, it needed some upgrade. It needs some loving and tender. Next slide. This is what it looks like right now with the painted exterior. We went with white and blue. The outside area had been cleaned up, and you can see the signage out there. And the rooms right now, next slide, Serena. The rooms right now look much cleaner with the paint and the flooring and everything. The next phase right now is to add the kitchens. That's the end of my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Very good. Thank you. Questions, comments, or concerns?
When do you foresee the completion, counting the spare lots, the 2 extra lots we have?
As I said, last time we had a conversation with them, they said 6 to 8 months. I didn't want to get into details of the particular timeline till we are sure that the PLHA is coming. The timeline also depends on the people that we have residing there right now. I think our plan is we're going to move them somewhere else so there's be no interruption in the construction. They said if we do that, that will cut the construction between 2 to 4 months.
Okay.
2 months. I'm hoping, and I know hope is not a strategy, but by February or April, we should be done if we get those.
So June then. Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions?
So we'll be back on the 25th to share any comments that we've received. The public will also have an opportunity to comment that day. And then we'd be seeking your approval to move the plan forward and adopt a resolution so we can apply for the money.
Very good. Thank you. And that is the public hearing?
That is on the 25th.
Correct. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good. That concludes everything on the agenda plus the addendums. We'll now move to board member announcements or reports on their own initiative. Supervisor Peterson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Took a little personal time over the weekend and maiden voyage of my urban assault, or my, not urban, but rural assault vehicle. Went out and, it's kind of interesting, as you farm your whole life and you receive an allocation of water you kind of know where it comes from. It comes from the hills up there, but actually getting to hike through the Kings Canyon and along the Kings River was, amazing, an amazing experience for me to, just to go up and see where the years of water that, replenish our local region with life, and the source of water was amazing. Just the majesty, the size of that area that water comes from. It's just amazing, and beautiful spot in our little neck of the woods. That's all I have.
Very good.
Canteen straight out. I didn't want to get the Montezuma's revenge, so took my own.
Nothing to report. I mean, I gave blood last week. I'm up another couple, I think a gallon or 2 gallons. Up on got my another license plate frame, so life's good. People are still surviving off my blood, so that's good for them.
Man, I'd hate to see that recipient. But I guess it all works and all counts.
Yeah, no, I had, yeah, it was all good.
Good. You go to Visalia or Fresno?
Visalia.
Oh, good. Supervisor Valley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to thank everybody who helped pull off the health night at Kettleman City. I know Rhonda Mann spends a lot of time on it, and there's a lot of people that help her, and it's a good event. And so I also want to thank Soup Nebs and Soup Fagunas taking the time to grill for the community. And I know you guys are busy and have a lot going on, so take the time to get that trailer together and your grills, and seeing you guys, even just packing up, look like a lot of work for you guys. And so just I say I appreciate it on the behalf of the community of Kettleman City. And then lastly, Mr. Chair, going back to Operation Gobble, as we talked about, there is a real shortage of turkeys, and I felt that again yesterday as we have some early money in to our fiscal agent, which again is going to be Corcoran Emergency Aid. But thanks to Waste Management with the early contribution of 3,000, and Corcoran SATA prison, they put in another 8,000. So with early money, I'm looking to buy birds, and even calling Costco yesterday and asking if they want to do a sale for 11,000. They don't have any turkeys that they can do beyond their initial allocation for customers. I can't go in there and buy up all their turkeys, and then people are going to be mad. Same thing for my home store in Corcoran. So I don't know if this turkey situation is a California thing, but I'm going to make some calls. I understand there's a National Turkey Federation, and I got a database of some of those contacts. So I'm going to call them this week. And if we got to buy turkeys out of state, then, to keep Operation Gobble going, then that's what we'll do. And if not, we'll figure out a plan B. Maybe it's some Harris Ranch tri-tips or something, but I mean, we got money, we just can't find turkeys. So unless anyone's got a connection, a turkey connection, holler at me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Forgiveness.
Not much except for Kettleman City and a couple local have to do. So other than that, I'll let you elaborate on that.
Good, thank you. And I got a few more names, to add to that list as well. So my week started last Wednesday after the board meeting. Coffee with Cops at the Lemoore Senior Citizen was well attended. The Lemoore PD was there, as well as members of the community. Plenty of coffee, plenty of donuts. West Hills College Lemoore versus Kalinga was on Wednesday night. Also had a chance to meet the new Kalinga president, Carla Tweed, whose daughter plays for Lemoore. So she was there in 2 capacities. Kettleman City Park, I do want to thank Rhonda Ron and Cassie, really a man family that puts that all together. The cooks, Richard Fagundes, John Martin, Jim Kilner, John and Trish Devlin. Bill Lynch got his hands dirty a little bit, and I want to thank him for that. And Kathy kept us all in line. So, and I just want to thank all the departments and all of the presenters there. I think it was nice having the dozer there, nice having equipment from the sheriff's department. And I think everything turned out well. Seasonal flu shots pretty much stayed busy, and if you got a shot, you got a taco. So that was a good incentive also, so it worked out very, very well. The Lemoore senior citizens on Friday morning had a breakfast and a membership drive and collected almost 100 people that were in attendance. And some of those were prior members, just extending their commitment to the Lemoore senior citizens. Lemoore volleyball was back on the home court on Friday against Columbia. Columbia College is up from Sonora, up in the Sonora area. The quilt makers show and sale was held at the Fraternal Hall on Hanford on Saturday. It was a great show, a lot of handmade items, and Kathy didn't spend too much money. And then the LeGrand FFA dinner was held in Merced County, a very successful event supporting the LeGrand FFA program. With that, Mr. Hill, you want to talk about board correspondence, upcoming events, and future agenda items?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For board correspondence, there was none this week. For upcoming events, the Hanford Harvest Fest will take place on October 15th from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Hanford Mall. The day will include various activities for all ages. Many of them are available with the purchase of an access pass. Passes are $10 per person. There will be an Oktoberfest Beer Festival on October 15th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. in Civic Park. The event benefits the Hanford Police Canine Foundation. The Kings County Farm Bureau will be hosting their annual Harvest Classic Golf Tournament on Monday, October 17th at the Kings County Country Club in Hanford with their shotgun start at 10 a.m. Tickets are $150 per person or $600 per team. The City of Avenal, together with the Rotary of Avenal, will be hosting their third annual Pistachio Days Festival. This free event will take place on October 14th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. The festivities will continue on Saturday, October 15th. The location will be downtown Avenal on King Street across from the theater. The Kings County EDC and JTO annual dinner will take place on Thursday, October 27th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The event will have a Kentucky Derby theme and will take place at the fairgrounds in Hanford. The City of Avenal will be hosting a trunk or treat, which will take place on October 28th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Betts Hall parking lot in Avenal. There will also be a Halloween dance. Kings County Animal Services will be hosting a Halloween spooktacular on October 29th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at 10909 Bonneview Lane in Hanford. This is a free family friend event with food vendors, booths, and much more. The animal shelter will be providing free microchips, and personalized pet tags will also be available at $5 each. Dogs are welcome, however, leashes must be used. There will be a charity golf tournament for the Ukraine Family Relief Fund on November 5th at 9 a.m. at the Valley Oaks Golf Course in Visalia. The entry fee is $2 per person, and the format is a four-man scramble. The 5th annual Santa Rosa Rancheria Charity Golf Tournament to support our SRR Youth Services will take place on Monday, November 14th at the Lemoore Golf Course. There will be a shotgun start at 10 a.m. The format is a four-man scramble, and team registration is $2,000. For upcoming agenda items, administration has two items: consideration regarding approval of an agreement with Stratford Public Utility for utilities arrears round 2, consideration regarding approval of the Fourth Amendment to CARE ATC agreement. Behavioral Health has consideration for the Electronic Health Records Innovation Project Plan. Fire has consideration for fire captain position allocations. Health has one item for consideration regarding the COVID epidemiological lab capacity enhanced detection expansion supplemental funding. Human Services Agency has two items: consideration regarding the resolution approving HSA's application for the PLHA allocation, and consideration regarding approval for the Medi-Cal Health Enrollment Navigators Project Allocation Agreement. IT has one item for consideration for a service agreement with Valley Security and Alarm. Public Works has one item for consideration regarding fleet vehicle purchase, and Sheriff has one item for consideration regarding approval of animal services purchases. That concludes that report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Salute to Ag, is this Saturday?
Salute to Ag is on the 15th. Lamore Trinity has Takeout Soapish. And the Children's Garden is celebrating Bill Gundeker's 80th birthday. A lot of stuff going on.
And there's the Pancake Bread, Joe Garcia.
That is the next day, and the Knights of Columbus pancake breakfast on the 16th. If you want pancakes in Lemoore. With that, any other follow-up questions? Hearing or seeing none, the board will now move into closed session to take up two items: significant exposure to litigation and litigation initially formally. And they will be reporting out at our next regular scheduled meeting next week on the 18th. So are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, then the board will move into closed session and adjourn out of closed session until our next regular meeting on Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. With that, thank you very much, everyone.